Hi everyone, it's Agnes and I've got another interview for you today. It's with Kristin. Kristin has already done part 1 with us and you have sent her lots of questions and emails and things, so she has come back to share some answers to that. Kristin, just remind everybody where you are in the world.
I'm in Europe.
Yep, you're in Europe. Okay, great. And how about we start with what we were just discussing a minute ago between us, the main question people keep asking you. Do you want to start with that?
Yes. In the last interview, I really told about what I did in order to attract my person back. And one thing I really think is important, and I know it's hard, but that you really forget the facts or like ignore the facts. And from my personal experience, it really is completely not important what the other person does or even thinks or said, because it can change so easily. And I think it's something that many people struggle with, that they focus so much on what the person said. For example, if the person said, I don't want contact, I don't want to ever see you again, then they have really problems to change that and to understand that people can change their mind. And it's something I can understand that it's not easy. But I really want to make clear that it really doesn't matter. Like in my situation, my person told me that he has no feelings left for me and that he doesn't want contact anymore, and that I screwed up and that he doesn't want to have anything to do with me anymore. And in 3 weeks, he changed his mind and contacted me again and wanted to be with me again, even though he really stated that he doesn't want to have contact with me anymore. And this really shows that it really doesn't matter what the other person said, because we sometimes say things that we meant at the time, but it really can change. And for me, the most important thing was to completely ignore it. I'm really good at it, actually. I really can ignore things like that, and I didn't focus on it, because if you focus on it, then you create it again and again, and nothing will change.
So Kristin, tell me how you are good at ignoring it. What do you actually do? Because I think the mechanics of that will be really helpful.
What I did when my person was angry at me and told me that I screwed up and that it's completely my fault and that he won't ever have contact with me again, I really took responsibility for it, because I knew I attracted this because of what I was feeling, of what I was thinking, and it's a projection. And for me, in that moment, it was easy to understand that it's not about him, but about me, because I had fear and anxiety. And of course, he had to tell me that. And I just was like, okay, I respect that he doesn't want contact. I think it's important that we respect the other person and that we give them space. But for me, it was really clear that it was something I created and nothing that is set in stone.
Lovely. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's exactly right. Once you take responsibility for what's in front of you right there and what's been said to you, then you go, okay, I've just got to work on me, my thinking, my self-love, my projection.
Yes, and I think it's something, if you don't have like much experience in this area, I can completely understand that some people have difficulties with letting it completely go. And I text with some people and I really try to help them, but I see that they have really problems in ignoring this or accepting that we can change it, because many people are stuck in this thinking that the people are individuals and what I do doesn't affect them. And I was a little bit radical, because I really didn't in my head it was really like I am in charge and I can change this, and I didn't really put much importance on what he thinks or does, because I knew if I change, he will change. And
Yes.
many people are really stuck in this thinking that, of course, they are an individual and they, of course, have their own thoughts and own feelings and stuff. But we can really influence a person, and it really changes if we change.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, definitely. I think that is one of the most powerful moments in a person's life, is realizing that thing you just said.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think if I can do this, I mean, my person was really determined that he doesn't want contact with me. And I could even understand him, because I wouldn't want contact with a person who was like that, because I was so impulsive. I was always blaming. And yeah, and he also said I ruined the relationship. And in that moment, I was like, yes, I did this, I ruined it, and I'm completely taking responsibility for it.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, wow. You know, when you look back, do you think, thank God that all happened, because I really understand how everything works now?
Yes, definitely. I'm really so thankful, because in the last year I learned extremely much, because before I was like blaming the other person, and I would be
Yeah,
like, okay, then that's the other person's fault. I'm going to find someone better.
yeah,
And um, yeah, I noticed that it's a recurring thing, that I attract men and they love me and treat me well, and then suddenly it completely changes, because I get so needy and like, you have to do things for me. And I think it's something really in our society, because in our seminar at university we watched Sex in the City, and in that movie we can really see this pressure of marriage, and this romantic guys that do everything for the women. And yeah,
yeah.
this, you have to do this for me, and otherwise you don't love me. It's really a problem, I think.
Mm.
I think it's really terrible.
Yes, yes.
Because
Yeah.
you only attract this shit over and over again. And I mean, if you really love a person, why would you pressure them to do, like, I don't know, romantic stuff all the time?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
No, no. And they're not just there for you. Like, they have their own lives, their own things they want to do, their own families, their own work, their own stresses, their own health issues. It's like, it's so much pressure to put on a person who already has their own things to deal with.
Yes, of course. And
Yeah.
the moment you really accept this, and you really love them unconditionally, and you give them the space to deal with their own things, then they are more likely to really give you these romantic things. For example, my person in the beginning, he did these things for me too. He even wrote love letters for me, because I was really open-handed and I didn't need him to do this. So yeah, it's really like, if you don't need it, then the person will do it, but not if you
Yeah.
pressure them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's giving people the freedom to love you, not forcing them to try and love you.
Yes, that's really, it really will help
Mm.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what you were saying to me about before we started recording, about the question that you get the most when you've been emailed was about people just coming back, but that they just want you for sex. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yes, I know. I mean, I don't know exactly what the persons are at, but I can imagine that they have this fear of, wow, this is too good to be true,
Yeah.
and maybe I'm not good enough for a relationship because I screwed up before, maybe, or that they don't fully trust that this is really happening, that they are worth having a full relationship again.
Mm.
And also maybe fear. I mean, in my case, he came back, and immediately I was like, wow, this is great, we're back together. And I was like in this way too early, too excited thing. And he came back and he wanted commitment, but he was still a little bit careful, and he didn't want it to be too fast. And then I got anxious, because in my case, it was this issue we had before, that I wanted him to text me more.
Yeah.
In return, I didn't text him because I was too afraid to text him because I feared rejection.
Yep.
So I always wanted him to text me more often, and I didn't get that because I was so fixated on it, and I got so anxious that this wouldn't change. And the moment I started to fear that he just wants sex, then
Yeah.
this yeah, this basically materialized, even though he wants commitment. And it was really strange because he told me exactly what I feared, even though he basically didn't even mean it.
Wow. So, okay, now that you identified that at that point, what did you how did you change it?
Um, when he told me that he likes it being casual and that he can understand if I don't want it, and he even said he wants his keys back, so it was like I felt like, oh my God, he just wants sex, and yeah, he doesn't want nothing more.
Yeah.
And that evening, I really cried because I was really crushed because this was something I always feared, because it's really not a nice feeling if you love a person and they just want like
Mm.
something sexual.
Yeah.
And I talked to a friend. I have a really good friend. She isn't really into law of attraction, but she's really wise. And I talked to her that night, and she also said maybe you shouldn't really pay attention too much on his words. And she was really sure that he wants something more serious. And I told him that I'm not into it. I won't have anything sexual with him. And in that moment, I was okay that he doesn't want contact then anymore. But I really respected myself. I really put myself out of this, and
Yeah.
I realized that I'm, it's not about being like this. I deserve better, but it's
No.
really understanding that I created this, and I took care of myself. Basically, I did lots of self-love meditations, and I was determined that I won't settle for something sexual, and I would basically like wait until the moment he really decides to be with me.
Yeah.
And I basically let go of this urgency to be with him. I still loved him, of course, but I let go of this need to have this relationship with him, because I knew I created this, so I can definitely create a relationship. And then um, he came back to me. He texted me saying that he wants to meet me. And I was confused at this time because I didn't know if he wants just the keys or if he wants to see me.
Yeah.
Because sometimes he's not really clear about that. He's not like he's not a texter. He likes meeting up rather than texting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Eastern, and he came around, and I was even a little bit cold towards him because I was so detached. I wasn't even feeling like, oh my God, I need this guy. But
Yeah.
I accepted that he wanted to come, and I again said, I don't know why you're here, because I don't want something sexual and I won't settle for this. And then he was like really happy to see me, and he said that he doesn't want something sexual either. He thought that I would want something sexual because I was like distant and I didn't tell much about my life anymore. So he
Ah.
thought that I wanted something casual, and he said that he would love to be with me again. So yeah, it was really nice because he was so caring and really sweet at that day, and he even bought a little present for me. So that changed really quickly.
Yeah.
And it
Wow.
also shows that we shouldn't be too hung up on what people say in the moment, because
Yeah.
sometimes we say things we don't really mean, or something, or sometimes there are even like misunderstandings.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say that people are like puppets on a string, but it's amazing how we can influence people. I mean, this is really amazing.
Yes. And in a really positive way, once you learn how to harness your mind and project wanted things.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Isn't that amazing that you thought one thing and yet it was totally wrong, and he thought the same about you. I mean, that's incredible. Like you say, the misinterpretation or the misunderstandings, because we just assume things that are sometimes totally wrong.
Yes, and that's, I think, something in every area we have to keep in mind, that we shouldn't interpret too much into things.
Yeah.
Because that happens really quickly, that we,
Yeah.
for example, if I have that with a friend, sometimes he won't answer me. He like reads a message in WhatsApp and I see that he has seen it, and he wouldn't reply for hours. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm really angry at this. Why doesn't he text me back? I mean, this is really rude. But then I think, yeah, he probably just read it and didn't have the time to answer. And yeah, that's something. Mostly we interpret things like I'm not important, he doesn't care for me, and yeah, it's always about interpretation.
It is. It is. And we can be so confidently wrong.
Yes, definitely. I think this whole texting thing is really sometimes really detrimental to relationships. I don't
Yeah.
really think this
Yeah.
WhatsApp thing is
Yeah.
is a good thing.
I agree, because you can't hear the tone. You don't know if someone's making a joke. You don't know if they're serious. Like all that, it does get misinterpreted often. So, yeah, good point. So,
Yeah, and for example, this with this emoticons, don't know how it's
yes,
pronounced. You know
emoticons.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And for example, my person is not a texter. When he texts me, it's mostly without like this hearts or something like that, or like big text. He doesn't do it. And for me, this is totally okay, because I know when we meet up, he is extremely respectful. He takes his phone away, and he doesn't do it to hide anything from me, but because he really respects the time we have together, and he's always punctual. And these are all things that
Yes.
for me are more important than texting all day, because for me
Yeah.
this is really, I don't know, shouldn't be too important in general, I think.
Yes. It's more the real connection rather than um, social media, or what do you call it? Technology connection.
Yes.
Yeah, I
And
agree. I agree with you.
yes, so this was always an issue when we were together in like the first relationship, because I was so angry because he wouldn't text me. Like um, I thought he texted too less, so I was angry, and I really completely ignored that he is respectful to me when we meet. I just didn't even focus on that. I just focused on the fact that he doesn't text me enough,
Yes.
and that just caused so many problems.
Yeah. Now you've accepted him how he is, and you see the good bits of him in other areas rather than I have to get a text or lots of texts.
Yes,
That's wonderful. That's really great.
yes, it
It's
is.
looking at the glass half full rather than half empty, isn't it?
Yes, it's. I think especially in relationships, it's so important, because it's so easy to focus on the negative.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great. So what else do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about any of the other questions you've received, or anything you think's important that people haven't understood?
Yes. One really important thing I did was, when I was attracting him back, is that I really stayed positive. And I see that some people, they are like really discouraged when they just get like a short reply. And I think this is it's even ridiculous, because in my case, I got only angry and really, yeah, not nice messages, and I still kept positive, because I thought, well, it's better than nothing. For starters, that he is like emotional, and I really flipped it around and said to myself, well, he's emotional. This shows that he has still feelings of any kind for me, and I really stayed positive. And at one point, it was, I think, 2 weeks before I got the first SMS. He accidentally sent me an SMS for an app invitation, and it was just a message: Chris is inviting you to use whatever app. And yeah, I knew that he didn't do it on purpose. I guess that it's just something that he did for all his contacts. So it was like this, yeah, this SMS that gets to all of your contacts in the mobile phone.
Yeah.
And I replied him a short message, and he was just like, oh no, was for everyone. So he basically told me, no, this wasn't even for you. And in that moment, I could have felt like, oh my God, he doesn't like me.
Yeah.
It will never work out. But I did the exact opposite. I got I got an SMS from him, and it doesn't matter what is in there. I got an SMS, and this shows that I'm definitely able to get a nice SMS from him. And I was so excited, and this really it's really about the momentum, because I put so much positive energy into this getting an SMS from him, even though it wasn't even meant for me.
Mm.
And I think 2 weeks afterwards, I really got an SMS. And I think it's a problem if you get something and you be negative about it, because then
Yeah.
you just get negativity again and again. And yeah, I always celebrate little things, because then you get more of it.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's definitely true. And it's training yourself to look at the glass half full all the time.
Yes, and something I also wanted to discuss is this whole thing of letting go in this area of attracting an ex back, because in my case, I didn't let go of the desire. I just let go of the need, the negativity, and all this bad thing. But I still had my desire, because I love him, and of course I wanted him back. But I let everything else go. I ignored the facts. I let go of need. I worked on myself. And my person came back.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about the fact that I never attracted ex-boyfriends back that I didn't want. For example, the other ex-boyfriends didn't came back, and I was just wondering why they didn't came back, because even right now I'm in a really good place. I attract really many guys, but my ex-boyfriends that I don't want, they don't come back. And I guess it's because first, I don't have the desire to have them, but
Yeah.
second, I still have, yeah, negative beliefs and feelings around them. For example, I have one ex-boyfriend, and when I think of him, I have this negative feeling of he's negative. He is not a nice person, and
Yeah.
I'm more than happy that he's out of my life. And yeah, I just don't even want to think about him. And I think that's the reason why he doesn't come back, because he
Yeah.
feels that
Yeah.
this negative thinking and beliefs I have
Yeah.
towards him.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a reason why ex-boyfriends don't come back, that we don't want. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's just what I wanted to hear your
Mm.
opinion about, because there are people that attract all ex-boyfriends back, even those
Yes.
they don't want. And in my case, and I know many people that their ex-boyfriends don't come back if they don't want them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 It's an interesting reflection, isn't it? The ex is coming back or not coming back. It says a lot. But like you're saying, you don't want that one to come back, so he doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's really about the beliefs we have around them.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, the rest of my ex-boyfriends, I just have like bad beliefs about them. Like they're not nice persons. I'm happy that they're away.
Yeah.
And yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, in that case, I'm really happy about the fact that they are not contacting me, because I wouldn't want that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. That's a blessing, isn't it? When they don't contact you and you don't want it, perfect.
Yes, it is. So,
Oh.
many people are confused about this letting go. And I mean, they can come back if you don't think of them anymore. But I think letting go is not necessarily about forgetting about them, but it's more about really working through it, because probably most people have beliefs around them. For example, they never text me, or I'm not important to them. And if you don't work on them, if you don't work on these beliefs, then I think they won't come back if you don't work through it.
Yeah. Yep.
Because for me it was important to really believe that I'm worth it, and also believe that he will come back, because self-love is important. I think that's really the most important thing. And but also you have to believe that the person also wants to come back, because but I think it goes hand in hand actually, because if you feel loved and you feel worthy, then you also believe that you are so worthy. Why wouldn't they come back?
Yep. Correct. The self-love is the foundation of everything.
Yes, it's extremely important.
Yeah. And it really is the best gift you can give to your specific person or to anyone in a relationship.
Yes, because I was terribly bullied when I was 12 years old. And I really had issues with self-love because when I was bullied, I was left without friends. I lost my friends that I had.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible feeling. I felt extremely unworthy. And it took me really years to uncover it. Because one issue that I have is that I attract friendships, but mostly with guys. Because when I was bullied by girls and I lost my girlfriends.
Yeah.
So I had these beliefs about women or girls in general that they are bad persons, that I
Yeah.
shouldn't trust them. And because the boys in my class, they stood up for me, I have extremely good beliefs about men, and that's why I attract many admirers that want a relationship, and B, many guys that want to be friends with me.
Yep.
And really took me years, actually till the last month, until I discovered that I had really limiting beliefs around attracting friendships with girls, because I always assumed, yeah, girls, they don't like me anyways. And I started to do I started to really work on self-love and saying to myself, I'm loved, I'm wanted, I'm secure. And I also included that girls like me. And I
Yeah.
really started to really feel this. And I noticed in the last weeks that girls, they really treat me differently, and they start to talk to me. And I had even two girls that wanted to hang out with me, and it really changed, and it's really amazing. I think I'm so happy about the fact that I really learned this at my
Yeah.
age, and it's really amazing because we can basically change everything and every relationship,
Yeah.
and it all comes down to self-love.
It does. And also what you think about that subject, like what you were saying, it's like you had that experience when you were 12, and then
Yeah.
you're like this with women and you don't trust them. And then you go into being an adult and then you keep recreating not having good women around you, but then you go, oh, I can change that now. I'm the creator, so I'm going to change. Even though that happened to me at 12 years old, I can still change that today.
Yes, and it was really interesting in my case because I have girlfriends and I'm really happy about it, but they would never ask me out because I always have to like one after them if I want to meet out. I mean, they're there for me, but they wouldn't ask me to hang out. And I thought, this is really crazy. Why do so many men reach out to me, want to hang out with me and really appreciate me? And I'm not a tomboy, I'm really like feminine,
Yeah.
and it's not because I'm like a guy. And I was really asking myself, why is this that men really like me and girls that basically stay away
Yeah.
and apparently do not want to hang out with me? And I really notice it's because I'm needy, because I want to hang out with girls. I
Yeah.
really want it so much that I get frustrated when they don't ask me out, and B, because of the beliefs.
Yeah.
And I noticed that I always assumed that they don't like me anyways. And with the
Mm.
guys, I'm just like, of course they love me, and of course they want
Mm.
to be with me because I'm a great person. So yeah, I'm happy that I changed this around, and it took me really years.
Yeah.
And it took me years to really understand this. And I'm happy that this is changing.
That is such a big one, isn't it? It's such a big one.
I think for most women, it's actually the other way around, that they don't have problems with women and they have good friendships, but
Yeah.
they have problems with the men, that
Men.
they never have dates, or they always push men away. And
Mm.
yeah, I think it's generally the other way around.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's really all about beliefs.
It's all about beliefs. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. Your beliefs about men, your beliefs about women, your beliefs about that type of, like you're saying, that type of person, which at 12 years old, it does affect you for a long time, because being bullied at school, it's a terrible experience that leaves you, you know, emotionally distraught, and it's like a trauma when you're going into school and you have to keep putting up with that. It's terrible.
Yes, it was really the hardest thing in my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, it still takes work, of course, because you know, the subconscious wiring is sometimes really mean, because if you know, you tell yourself, you know, girls like me, and your subconscious directly goes, no, they don't like you, and you
Yeah.
will never achieve this. And it was extremely hard to change this around, because my subconscious, or whatever you want to call it, it was always this feeling, no, this isn't possible for you. It won't change, because I think the subconscious generally doesn't like change.
Mm.
But I really focused on the fact that I can change this, because why wouldn't it be possible? There are other people that have great friendships with girls,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I mean, this is something that is just normal. And why isn't I really? It took really much work, but it is possible, and it's normal that at first it feels like you're lying to yourself. It's really normal.
Yeah, it does feel like you're lying to yourself when you're trying to change a belief, doesn't it?
Yes.
It does.
But for me, in my case, it was I attracted my person back, which is really not easy to do. It's really something that takes work. So I can definitely attract girls that want to hang out with me. And this really kept me going because I
Yeah.
manifested so much. So yeah, I'm really happy right now.
Mm. You're reaping the rewards of your good, focused work. It's like understanding this whole law of attraction, Neville, all these techniques. That's one part of it. It's applying it. That's where you see the magic.
Yes, I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes I feel like I'm too lazy to do my self-love meditations, even though it feels so good. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's like really going to the gym. You have to really, yeah,
Yeah.
motivate yourself to do it, because I notice if I don't do it, if I'm lazy with this, then I notice that people don't treat me the way I want to be treated.
Yep.
And yeah, that's why I really try to do it daily, because it's really like going to the gym, I think,
It is.
that you have to do it, and otherwise you don't get results.
Yeah, and you go back to your old ways, your negative ways.
Yeah, that happens really easily, because your subconscious mind doesn't like change.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like programmed in this, I'm not good enough, and
Mm.
I'm not worthy, or this doesn't happen to me, or
Yeah.
I don't believe in miracles, because we always tend to look at what is. And especially because especially in my country, law of attraction isn't something common.
Yes.
And yeah, I think really I know nobody in my circle that applies law of attraction.
Mm. Mm.
And I think it's not something common, sadly. I think
Yeah.
this is really sad, actually.
Is there no law of attraction YouTubes in your language? Is it mainly just in English?
Mainly just in English. Yes, it's
Okay.
not something common here, not at all.
Not at all. Okay.
No,
Yet.
yet. I think I sometimes don't understand why people don't believe in law of attraction. I mean, I was really a negative person before I discovered law of attraction. And for me, it's like I couldn't go back, because I have so much evidence that this is really happening. And I think it's not witchcraft, because some religious people claim that law of attraction is
Yeah.
against Jesus. And I mean,
Mm.
I'm not religious, but yeah, some people think that it's sinful, and I don't agree at all, because it's
Mm.
all about love and positivity, because you don't attract anything good if you're negative or manipulative. So I
Yeah.
think this is just nonsense to say it's
Mm.
sinful.
Well, and Jesus, if you follow Christianity, Jesus was the greatest manifester. He always looked at what he wanted, which was people that were healed. The fields were already full of crops, even when it was just bare dirt. He was always imagining and creating. So, how people can say law of attraction is witchcraft when it actually follows the principles that Jesus put into practice doesn't make sense.
Yes, that's true. I mean, I was raised Catholic.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in that discussion because I don't want to say that Catholic or religion is bad, but it was always this I have to earn something that is good. And it was always like this, it was just like I have to earn something,
Yeah.
and only God's will manifest, and I don't have anything to say
Yeah.
in what happens to me.
Yes.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
discovered law of attraction when I was 17, I think. So it was 3 years ago, and I learned so much in that time. It's really great.
Not only have you learnt it, you've applied it and got
Yes,
great results. It's wonderful.
yes. And maybe I can say something about manifesting a text message,
Mm.
or basically a specific person, because I have this amazing story. When I was 18 years old, I was at the driving school in order to get my driver's license, and there was this one guy that I really found sweet, and I didn't know him at all. I just saw him there in the theory lessons, and I saw him, I think, twice or 3 times, and we never talked to each other. I just thought he was cute, and I just was, yes, a little bit in love with him, even though I didn't know him. And I thought, let's do this, let's try it out, if it is possible to really attract a specific person you don't even know. So I discovered Veronica Isles' channel,
Yeah.
and what I did is, first I searched on Facebook and social media, but I didn't find him. So there was no evidence that I would actually meet this person or get in contact, because I only saw him when we had theory lessons,
Yeah.
and when I did my exam, I didn't see him anymore, and I didn't know where he was living or what he was doing. I just knew his name. And what I did, I imagined getting a text message from this boy. And I even sent myself a pretend message with
Yeah.
a text saying, "Hi, this is Simon. I hope you don't mind texting me. How are you doing?" And, I really felt it. I visualized this over and over again. And then I was in Spain for holiday, and I was feeling really good. And I remember at one moment I thought, well, I leave this really up to the universe. He either texts me or he doesn't. I just give it over to the universe, and I don't focus on it anymore. And it was so amazing, because really a few hours later, I was lying at the pool, and I was generally really relaxed and happy. And I looked at my phone, and I saw it in Facebook that I had 3 missed text messages. It was this, this, I don't know what's it called in English. It's when you get a message but you don't see it directly because you're not friends, and it's like in this other category.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I didn't see it at first. And then I got really this message, this exact message, what I had sent myself. And I was so amazed. I really went to my hotel room, and I was like really freaking out in excitement, because he sent me the exact text message, even though he doesn't know me. We never spoke to each other. I didn't even know that he would be interested in texting me, or
Yeah.
whether he has a girlfriend or anything. And the funny thing is, he wasn't on any social media before, and he made himself a Facebook account in order to text me. And it was so amazing, because the other girls, they also wanted to be in contact with him, because he was really a person, no guy many women like. So it was really amazing, because I did this. And even my driving teacher told me that Simon was interested in me, and that he wants to meet up. And yeah, it was really amazing. I was so proud of myself in that moment. But I want to say that sometimes it's not the best idea to attract someone you don't know, because in my case, he is a Jehovah's Witness. I don't know if you know about this kind of thing. So
Yep.
this wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And they have really strict rules about marriage. I would have to
Yeah.
a Jehovah's Witness as well in order to be with him.
Yeah.
And yeah, this wasn't for me.
Mm.
So it was just like, okay, this is not for me. But it is really, you can really do it.
You
And this is
can.
really amazing. Because
Wow.
it was really against all odds, because he's a Jehovah's Witness. He isn't even allowed to text or flirt with girls that are not in his religious circle. And he really flirted with me. I mean, we texted a lot, and yeah, it is really amazing because it was really against all odds. And I didn't talk to him before at all. So it was really all my focus.
Wow. How old were you when you did that?
I was 18 years old. So it was,
Wow.
yeah, I'm now 20. So it was 2 years ago.
Wow. And was that before you said you knew anything about the law of attraction?
Um, I discovered law of attraction when I was 17.
Yeah.
So 1 year later,
1 year later.
yeah, really amazing, I think.
Wow. That's amazing. It is.
Yeah.
It's so, I think when you first find out about all this law of attraction and all this co-creating and creation and all this stuff, and then you apply it to something and you get a result, it almost shocks you, the first one, because you go, wow, this is real, it works.
Yes, it was extremely shocking for me
Yeah.
because
After the
um,
first one, you get used to it and you go, wow, okay, now I understand. I can do this again. I can do it again. I can do it again. So you're not so shocked when it happens after that. But that first manifestation is just like incredible.
yes, it is. And, as I said, I was really in my hotel room, and, I was dancing, and I was so excited because I watched Veronica Isles videos about getting a text message,
Yeah.
but I didn't 100% believe this would happen to me. And it really happened in the moment when I truly let go. I really said, I leave it up to the universe whether this happens or not. But before I put so much focus onto it, I visualized so much and put so much focus into it so that this text message really reached me. I
That's
mean, I think it's
wonderful.
interesting. I really wonder what he was thinking in his head. Maybe something like, wow, there was this girl. Yeah, let's make a Facebook account in order to text her. I mean, this is
Yeah,
really
yeah.
incredible.
Isn't it? What a
Yes,
great example of just a little bit of focus, what it can actually give, just a little bit.
yes. And sometimes I'm a little bit confused about this, like co-creating thing, because sometimes it happens to me that, for example, I have one friend, and sometimes I get this feeling of, I don't want to meet him. It just feels like there's something that tells me I don't want to see this person.
Yeah.
And it happened to me 3 times in a row that I said, no, I don't want to meet you. Really, like a few minutes before we were actually meeting. And then I have times when I'm like, of course, I want to see him. And I wonder if this is about me, or whether he is sending things out to me like, oh,
Mm.
she probably says no, or I'm not good enough of meeting her.
Yeah.
So I wonder if everything comes from us, or if other people like influence us as well, because I noticed it a few times.
Yes. Well, everyone is us pushed out. So if people are holding thoughts and feelings about us, then we become them pushed out.
Yes, so this means that we basically influence each other, right?
We do.
Okay, because I notice this in my life too, that sometimes I have this feeling of I don't want to meet this person and I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I had this in the last few weeks, it was really, I met a guy at university, and I was like, wow, this guy is so amazing. And I had to think of him all of the time. And it was really crazy because I knew I love my person, and it never happened to me before. And suddenly I have to think of this guy that I don't even know, just met in class and we talked. And it was obvious that he likes me. So I guess that he was probably thinking about me or visualizing and sending good vibes out to me, and that's why I had to think about him all of the time. But it was just a phase, and he also has a girlfriend. So yeah, but sometimes I think this is really amazing, and sometimes I don't know whether things come from me or whether other people influence me.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think people will bring out a version of you through what they think, feel, and believe about you.
Yes.
So yeah, it's so interesting, the whole energy between people and the whole concept of everyone, as you pushed out, how we influence. But we can only really, you can influence other people, as you know, but your greatest influence is going to be on influencing yourself through your self-love and through your projecting out your wants, what your love, your joy, your happiness, all of that is your greatest influencer, is that.
Yes, I think yourself is really the most important thing to work on, because I saw it in my life too, especially with my person, that if I'm in this feeling of I'm not good enough, for example, in terms of beauty and outward appearance, when I'm in this I'm not good enough, then it's really interesting, because then you always pointed things out. For example, you have to train your butt more and really silly things like that, because I focused on it. And as soon as I changed this, he completely changed his behavior as well, because if we focus on like flaws on ourselves, then people will reflect that back to us.
They
I really
do.
noticed that in my life many times.
Yeah, and it continues on till the day you die, this constant, it's like when you stop doing self-love and then you start to get more negative because you're not doing self-love, you get more negative, and then things start to go wrong, and then your relationship gets hard, or your person says, I don't want to be with you. You see the evidence quite quickly. So it's like the self-love is the thing. While you're focusing on self-love, while you're doing meditations, while you're doing affirmations, while you're doing scripting, while you're exercising, looking after yourself, listening to music, doing all the things that make you feel good, the more you do that, it's like it keeps all that negative stuff away from you, because it's not a vibrational match to you. So,
Yes, I think that's the most important thing.
yeah, it is. But it's easy to, once you get your person, once you get your job, once you get your money, once you get that, you go, oh, okay, I'm just going to stop that now. I need a rest from doing all that self-love. And I do think you need days off. I mean, if you do it 4 or 5 days a week, that's pretty good. But if you go from doing it 7 days a week and then you stop and you do nothing, you're going to go back to your old ways.
Yes, and I really need to say that I think once the person is back, I think the real work just starts, because
yes,
it's not like you can just stop there, because all the issues you had before, if you haven't worked on them, will come up again. In my case, it was this, I want him to text all the time, and he didn't, because I wasn't working on it, because he came back, in my opinion, quite quickly, in 8 weeks.
yeah,
And sometimes people are really impatient, but I think that in my case it was even too early, because I had issues to work through, like this, I need you to text more often,
yeah,
or that I attracted him, wanting just something casual. I mean, if he came back later, then maybe I would have worked through it and this wouldn't have come up.
in the
So sometimes,
relationship.
yeah, because we had problems again and again, because it really takes work, and
It
I mean,
does.
it's worth it, and we shouldn't give up on it. But
Yes.
sometimes
Yeah.
it takes time, and some people are impatient and they're like, why is this taking so long? Maybe I should give up. Or they just feel like crap because it's so long or they lose hope. But I think sometimes it's even better if it takes a little bit longer, because it gives us time to work through issues we had. And also the fact that the person stays away also shows that we have to deal with things.
And Kristin, I so agree with you. When you get back with somebody, that's when the real work starts, because the person's come back, you're together, you've decided to be together or whatever, but then you're not by yourself anymore, as in you can just, when you're not feeling good, you do a meditation, or when you're not feeling good, you can go to the gym or go for a walk, or you now have to interact with the person, and the person is sometimes going to push your buttons.
Yes, definitely.
And then you're going to feel the I'm not loved, or I'm angry they said that, and you've got to deal with that. Whereas when you're not with them, you don't have any of those buttons being pushed.
Yes.
So you have a different challenge. Before, the challenge was loneliness, being on your own. Saturday night comes and you're at home watching a movie by yourself instead of being out with them or whatever. So you have a loneliness, or you have to try and overcome, I'm not wanted, I'm not loved, I'm not secure, all those things. But when you're with somebody, you got to deal with another whole set of the things that you think about them, the things you project onto them, the things that you have to watch. You don't think negative thoughts about them. You don't think negative thoughts about yourself within the relationship. So it's you're changing your challenge. Your challenge changes into another one.
Yes, I think it's even harder the phase when the person comes back, because it's just natural that we are getting excited and we want commitment right away. And I mean, commitment is, for me, it's important, because in my case, I was dropping my self-love, because I thought, I'm so relaxed and I just accept that he won't fully commit to me. But in retrospect, I think it's important to work on being able to, or rather being worthy of commitment, than accepting everything from the person but not working on yourself, because then you only attract, basically crap.
Yep. Yeah.
It really is work. And also what also comes is this fear of the third party.
Yeah.
Something that many people struggle with.
Yes.
I personally didn't have that before. No, I didn't have that before. I was just really I wasn't concerned with this, but I know many people have this fear of a third person, or even being cheated on. There's also something that many people have to deal with, and I think it also comes from I'm not good enough, and I always have to take, and neediness, and I'm not good enough. I think it's something.
Yeah, I'm not good. If you're worried about a third party, you definitely have I'm not good enough and I'm second best as some of your beliefs. Definitely. Yeah.
Yes. I think that takes really work to really get to this place of I'm the creator and nobody can take this away, even if it takes time.
Yeah.
Because people get really impatient and they think, wow, it's, I don't know, 6 months, maybe they have another person, or it's over. And some people have this thing of, well, if I don't text them, they will lose feelings for me. And I think this is also a form of trying to make it happen quick. And
yes.
I don't think this is working.
No, because it's coming from fear of they're going to forget me. 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 I need to contact them so they don't forget me. So they don't forget me. And that is all. It's like, it's madness. If you think someone's going to forget you and you're trying to push yourself into their life with that energy on board, they're going to want to get away from you, and they are going to forget you because you are creating it.
Yes, really, this texting is in that case nonsense, because if you project this, I need to text them because they will forget me. I mean, I think everyone has this in their life, that there's a person who's so fixated on you and they text you all the time and you're just like, I don't care. They can
Yeah.
text me 100 times and I don't care.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it depends. I mean, I'm more of an under contactor. I always like lean back and don't text my person. But if you're an over contactor, yeah, I think it's not a good idea to text the person all the time.
No, I don't either, especially when it's coming from, because when you're in that state of over contacting and texting because you don't want someone to forget you, you are in a state of I'm trying to get.
Yes.
And that's never going to get you what you want. It's going to push it away. So yeah, I'm glad you brought up the texting thing because it's a huge area. Huge.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
good conversation.
I think this with the taking energy can really be in every area. For example, in my area, I always try to take in forms of I want girls to ask me for hanging out or meeting up, and I was so fixated on this, and I really wanted the person to do something for me. And I know this is also a form of taking because I didn't I haven't let the person be themselves and be free to ask
Yeah.
me. I was just like, I need to take this and I
Yeah.
want this, and it doesn't work. And when I think of the guys that ask me out, I'm just like, they can ask me, but I don't need it, and I don't try to take this or take the energy, and I'm open-handed, and that's why they want to hang out with me. And with my person, I had to work through this as well, because in the past I did silly things to get his attention, and it never works out if you're coming from I need to get something.
Yeah.
Also with the SMS I got, I mean I was in a state of he's free to do whatever he wants as long as he's happy, and I don't want to pressure him, and I'd rather work on myself so that I can give love instead of trying to get him to do something for me in order to feel better. And that's when he texted me, because he must have felt this openness of me.
Yeah. It's so good when you adjust how you view something, isn't it?
Yes.
Like you're saying with the women, that you're trying to get them to ask you so you actually can see I'm trying to get,
Yes.
and then you say, well, I'm not setting them free to ask me just because they want to. I'm putting out this energy that they have to ask me, and if they don't ask me, I'm going to be frustrated with that. So you lock yourself into this position with them, but you've stepped back, you've observed it, you've seen what you're doing, and now you can change what you're doing energetically. That is such a great moment when you can observe yourself from that distance.
Yes. And it's something that takes practice,
Yeah.
because with my person, sometimes I had these moments of, well, I just want to blame them. This, I didn't create this. It wasn't me. It's just them.
Yes,
And
I know.
sometimes and it happens to me nowadays, that sometimes I get into this feeling of this, I didn't create this. This must have something to do with them, and I don't want to take responsibility, and I just get
Yeah.
angry,
Yeah.
and I feel like I deserve better, and
Yeah.
it never. Yeah, and we have to really take responsibility for what we create, because we can cut them off, but we will find someone else, and if we don't work through it, they will do the same things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I find now when something happens, when and the same thing happens to me, I get a reaction, someone says something or does something, and then I feel angry. I feel like pushing against them. I feel like saying something to them. And now I just go, okay, I say to myself, I'm emotionally disturbed by this. And I breathe in, I breathe out, and I say, I have to surrender this. And then I need to correct what I did, that I created that. So it's a much more powerful position if you can step back, observe yourself and go, oh, you're reacting for some reason. you're caught in this thing, and now you need to surrender and let the feelings go, and then correct what you're doing in here that caused that negative emotion in your stomach.
Yes. And it's not always easy, but
No, it's
it
not.
takes practice.
It does. It really does, especially in relationship with family, with a specific person, with a boss, with someone that's, you know, being nasty to you at school or at work or wherever. Oh my goodness, it takes some practice. And you get lots of practice.
Yes. I even changed my relationship with my sister
Yeah.
because we always had a really not a good relationship. We always were fighting and we had resentment towards each other.
Yeah.
And generally, I always thought of her being like egotistical. She always wants her needs to be met, and she doesn't do anything for me. I always have to take care of her, and nothing.
Yeah.
I get nothing in return. And I noticed in the last months, because we live together, that my vibe changes. I just got like in a better feeling place generally, and I try to really understand from where she's coming, and that she
Mm.
also is a person with her own problems and emotional baggage she carries around, and that it's also my projection because I have these beliefs about her,
Yeah.
and I really send her love, and I try to be as grateful for her as I could. And I also worked on my self-love. And what happened is that she got so friendly to me. She started to appreciate me. She even bought me gifts, which I think is really great because she bought me gifts. And she always tells me that she loves me and appreciates me, and she wants to spend time with me. And we hardly fight anymore. And she
Wow.
even says that she appreciates my advice. And I overheard her talking to her boyfriend on the phone, and she said that she thinks that I developed and that she thinks I'm a great person. So I'm really happy that even this changed.
Wow. Wow.
And
That's
it's really,
amazing. That's amazing.
yes,
Because when
I'm
you
really
live
happy
with
about this.
people, that's when you really see how good your thinking is.
Yes, of course, sometimes I'm like, she's so egotistical, or sometimes I get angry about some silly things she does, and then I think this doesn't even matter in the whole picture, because why do I
Yeah.
bother about silly
Mm.
small things?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Kristin, we've been talking for an hour. Doesn't that go fast?
Yes, it really goes fast.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, before we go, because I've got to teach a specific person live course in an hour and I need a bit of a break in between. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
No, actually, I think we're done. I covered everything I wanted to talk about.
Oh, good. I'm glad you made a list from what people asked you and all that. I think that's such a great way to do it. And if you get some more questions and you feel that we can do a third YouTube, because I really love the way you break things down and how you apply them. And I think you have such a clear, simple ability to explain it so that people,
Thank you.
yeah, you do. And I know you really love this stuff. You love breaking
Yes, I
down.
do.
Yeah, it's so fun, isn't it? And getting results, like with your sister, like with your specific person, that you can apply it, you see results, and you know what you did. And to be able to share that, the mechanics of that with other people, I think is such a wonderful, wonderful giving to people. So I'll upload this today, and then when it goes up, I'll put your whatever details we put in your last one, I'll put the same details up. And if you want to contact me in a while, we do another one, more
Yes, I would love
than
that.
happy, because I think some people just have a real natural way of explaining things, and I think you're definitely one of those people that can make it really understandable for people for where they are, the knowledge and the way you explain it is extremely valuable. So thank you for, one, learning how to do it, but two, explaining it. It's great. Well, I'm going to say goodbye. Kristin, you stay on the line, and we'll just chat for a minute before we go. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Kristin, you want to say bye to everyone?
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. See you in the next one.